Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. These are some Christmas sock stockings, and I've put names of family members on them, but I did them in cross stitch. But if you don't like to cross stitch or you don't like to embroider, do you know that you can do lettering on your sewing machine? So if you've bought a computerized sewing machine in the last 35 years, you've probably got at least one style of lettering and maybe 2, 3, or 4 different styles. Now, if you're going to do lettering on your sewing machine, on the back, I've put about a medium weight fusible interfacing on it. And the reason for doing that is to keep the fabric stable so that when it's being stitched on, it doesn't bunch up. And if you don't have that on there, it will wrinkle, not wrinkle, but ripple a little bit. It won't lay very flat. So here's how you set your machine up. This is what the screen looks like on my sewing machine. Yours is probably going to look a little different. So this is the lettering style I have selected. There's an uppercase menu and then there's a lowercase menu. Make sure you check to have the correct presser foot on. Also on my machine, I'm removing the foot pedal plug so that I can just press another button for it to start stitching. So make sure you check your user's manual for the correct presser foot to use. So when I want to start stitching, I've got my fabric in and my presser foot is down. I've removed the foot pedal option and I'm just going to press. I'm going to just guide the fabric until it is finished stitching. I'm always getting asked about scrap busters. And this is a little project that I made that was supposed to be a sachet bag. And so it's just a narrow strip of fabric. You can make them any size you want. So let me show you how easy this is. So you can cut up old scraps or your fat quarters, whatever you have. So I've cut up a long piece of fabric, like I said, any length you want. And so here is the wrong side of the fabric, the not so pretty side. You fold both ends up just a little bit, 2 times, and then stitch it down. Then at one end, on the right side of the fabric, the pretty side, put a piece of ribbon any length that you like that you can tie this with, and do a few stitches back and forth. Then after you've done that, fold this in half and then stitch along here and along here, and you have a real quick little candy bag or sachet bag. A lot of you say you don't really enjoy cutting your quilting fabric or any fabric. Well, I use a rotary cutter because it's really easy for me because of a problem I have with one of my hands. So my one good hand really likes that rotary cutter. So I'm going to show you how you can stack fabrics. Now these are just fabric scraps, but any fabric, maybe you've just bought it or whatever. If you need to cut a lot of pieces out, then stack your fabric, layer it, at least 2 layers. I do sometimes 4 layers. I don't recommend doing more than 4 for the reason of it's just harder for your rotary cutter to go through it. So you want to make sure that your rotary cutting blade is either new or relatively new because it's going to be much easier. So I want to first just cut this first edge straight. So I'm just going to line it up here and cut it straight. And then you can go over as wide as you want it. Don't move your fabric. Just move your ruler over to whatever width you want. And you should lay it on your cutting table or your cutting mat so you can use the lines on your cutting mat to help guide you to get everything the same size. And then just cut. I'm going to go through it one more time. Now, and then you can just move your ruler over again. Don't move your fabric, move the ruler over and do a second cut. Then you can take each row that you've got here and turn it, and then you can cut it to different lengths or to a smaller length. So you could put one of the lines on your ruler on the edge of the fabric and just go ahead and cut, and then move over however many of inches you need to move. I'm just going to go over just a little bit here and cut. And then you could move over again, do your second cut until you've gotten all the way down. And that's how you can do quick speed cutting. Another quick way to use up your scraps is to make rag wreaths. Now, most of you think of rag wreaths as something that you hang on your front door. You can make them really big, and then you can make them really small. Now, these are really small rings here, and these were made to be part of a centerpiece. So you can cut out your strips. Now, these strips that I just cut are maybe not quite 2 inches wide, but I like to cut most of my rag wreath strips maybe 1.5 inches wide, and then you tie them onto your rag wreath. So you could gather up all your scraps and make your rag wreaths out of that, or you can buy specific themed fabric for special occasions. So this was Valentine's fabric, and this was a bunch of leftover fall fabric that I had from other projects. And then you can just put candles in the center of your choice, either the type you light up, or this is the battery operated candle. So if you're worried about fire, use the battery operated candle. Now, this is a lot of tying, so I like to think of giving it to either your children or your grandchildren to tie. I give it to my husband to tie. I enjoy working with felt because the little craft squares of felt fabric is really inexpensive, and they're very easy to work with. So this is actually 2 pieces of felt. They're separately, here's a little tag. My Walmart used to sell them, but I don't really see them there anymore. But you can get them at Michael's Crafts, and I'm sure Hobby Lobby and other craft stores in your area. So all it is I took 2 of these. These are about 9 by 12. If you've gotten them from different places, they might be slightly different size. So if you're going to make this pillow, make sure you cut them the same size. So all I did was put them together, and then about, an inch, maybe 1.25 inches, I went in and did a straight stitch with my sewing machine all the way around, except for one tiny area down here. I left maybe a 3-inch opening. Then I inserted my polyfill stuffing into the pillow. But the one fun thing that I had about making this pillow, oh, and by the way, then you finish stitching to close up that hole. You can cut with your scraps of felt that you've had left over from other projects, or purchase the little sheets and do fun little flowers or leaves, anything that you want. And on here, I did some really simple embroidery stitches to put them on. So I'm going to show you a neat little book you can get to where you can learn to do embroidery stitches. This is in the middle here. Now, I'm not the greatest at embroidery, but in the middle line here and the veins here, I did what's called the back stitch. And then on the edge is called a blanket stitch. Now, here is a book that's published by DMC, and they manufacture embroidery floss. And you can get this book on Amazon. It's a real small book. It's a little reference book. It explains about the different floss. But in here they have really good pictures of the embroidery stitches. So if you wanted to make that little pillow I just showed you, this is the back stitch. Very, very simple. And then the blanket stitch is also in here and is really described really well, plus many other stitches. So the pictures are large. I really highly recommend this little book. Again, it's by DMC. It's called Embroidery Stitch Guide. And again, you can get it on Amazon. So as you're looking at this little doll face, this was done with that back stitch and then something else called a satin stitch, which is really easy. So you can use it for really embellishing almost anything you make. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that you learned something new. I also hope you try some of these things that I've shown you. If you're interested in other projects that you could learn how to do, I've got many of them listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. So scroll down until you see the word more, click on it, and that section will expand open. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.